Hey guys, I don't know what that was. I'm Rob Shuker for 3 Storm Fitness, and what you're looking at here, this mirror, I'm going to do a review on this here probably in a month or two once I really air it out. That's my naked mirror. I ordered that back in 2016. Yes, that is correct. 2016. It was like a crowd-funded project that basically it's a mirror, magical mirror that spins you around and measures your body fat and all your anthropomorphic, is that the right word, measurements, and I tell you what your stomach is down to the 100th decimal, inches wise, or I'm assuming centimeters as well. Anyways, way off topic. I got that thing, just got it finally, and I'm looking to lose some body fat. That's my new goal. So that's what a lot of my workouts and my diet are going to be around that, focused on that. So I've put together a new diet for myself. It's really not that novel, but it's very simple, and it's something I've done before and had great success with, and I just kind of want to share it with you guys. Before I get into anything, the details, I just want to let you know I don't really demonize any food group. Okay, I'm not a anti-carb person. I'm not an anti-protein supplement person. That's all relevant because I'll talk about that in a second. Whatever your diet, whatever the diet you're doing is, I wrote a 1,000,000-page article on this a while back. You just got to figure out what works for you. I mean, I put that into, I think, 20,000 words or something. It was something ridiculous. It's like 60 pages long. But it all comes down to you just got to figure out what works for you. All right. This is something I know works pretty well for me. Maybe it works for you, so I want to share it with you. Here it is. It's 5 rules. This is my diet. It has 5 rules. Let's see if I can remember them. It's a lot for me to remember without notes. So, rule number 1. In no particular order. No processed carbohydrates. Or, I mean, I may slip in the next 2 months. I plan on doing this for 2 months. Seeing where that gets me. I'll track my progress on this scanner and everything. The mirror. And I'll share that with you guys eventually. So, you get to see me naked, pretty much. Or you'll get to, yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah, no processed carbohydrates. So nothing that's no carbohydrate sources that are basically stripped of all their nutrients, essentially. White flour, white rice. So basically pizza, pastries. We're also talking about anything with refined sugar in it. Basically anything that's delicious. But that still leaves you things like quinoa and brown rice and oats, barley. I would even, or maybe argue, Ezekiel bread. I'll just say I had a slice of that yesterday, guilt-free. So the whole point of this whole entire thing, I'm going to get off the topic for a second. At the end of the day, okay, when you've done all the calculations on individual, metabolic rates and insulin sensitivities and deficiencies and hormone balance and all the stuff that gets factored into how your metabolism runs, how your body stores fat or burns fat, whatever your goal is you're trying to do. I'm trying to get fatter. At the end of the day, it's all about calories in and calories out. It really is. That's the output at the end, okay? I'm not saying that nothing in between matters. That matters tremendously. But at the end of the day, it's all calories in, calories out. Okay? So, this whole thing all of these 5 rules are meant to preserve muscle. And I won't get into the reasons why. I probably will. Just talk. But it's important. Preserve muscle and lose fat. And I'm trying to do that by having essentially a calorie deficit while getting a significant amount of protein in, significant enough to maintain as much muscle as possible. And of course, I'm going to do that with training as well. I'll talk about that maybe in another video or two. But anyways, no processed carbohydrates. One reason for that is you got the glycemic index. Processed carbohydrates tend to have higher glycemic index, higher glycemic load. But really, it's so I don't fill up on nonsense. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much more about that. I just know that I do pretty well when I don't eat a bunch of processed carbs. I think most people do. Even when it comes to, water weight, I tend to get, when I eat a bunch of sugar, I gain like 10 pounds of just water weight. It's ridiculous. So, staying away from that. I know it works. There's plenty of good sources of carbohydrates out there for me to enjoy. Fruits, vegetables, obviously. Okay, moving on. The second macro, I guess, we'll cover is fats. My rule is don't eat more than one serving at a time of a fat source, of a food that's primarily a fat source. So what that means is, my arm's getting tired. What that means is foods that, out of the three main macros, fats, carbohydrates, and protein, foods that have more fat than, where calories come from fat more than anything else. So I got to start off with like peanut butter. I mean, everybody still seems to think that peanut butter is a protein source. It has protein in it. I always tell people, because they ask me, like, what's a good, so many times people ask me, what's a good protein source other than like peanut butter and tuna? I'm like, well, first of all, the only way that peanut butter is a good protein source is if you're like, and I'm not making fun of these people, but I'm being serious, is if you're like a starving person in like, some third world country, and peanut butter is a fantastic way to get it's a very dense nutrient source, and it has protein in it. But for like your average American that sits there and just binges on whatever's in front of them, it's not a good protein source. It's a fat source. It has twice as much fat as protein in it, okay? So, all that to say, foods that are primarily a fat source just have one serving at a time. Doesn't mean all day. It just means when you sit down to eat, only have one. So I think that's 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. That'd be like 27 almonds. So don't just grab a huge handful of walnuts or almonds or whatever. Like, count them out if you're doing this. What else? Avocados, even like really super healthy fats. Don't sit there and eat like 2 avocados just because it's healthy. That's not healthy. So find out what avocado serving is and eat that. Okay, and that's just basically caloric. That's just caloric control. That's all I'm doing there. That's the reason for that. And I could still enjoy fats, and it's 2 slices of bacon, for instance. So I eat 8 slices. I had bacon. That's allowed. Okay, how many slices? 10, 15? Just 2 at a time. Okay. The next rule is, and this is kind of a big one, eat 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I don't know what the translation is in kilos. I made these rules selfishly for myself, but you guys can do the conversions. I'm sure you guys are smarter than me. Whatever that is divided by 2.2 or times 2.2. Math 2.2. Brackets, do math, 2.2. There we go. There's overwhelming evidence that shows that sweet spot. 0.7 actually grams of protein to 1 gram of protein is best for preserving muscle, for building muscle, preserving muscle during a calorie deficit diet, which is essentially what I'm going after. And I have been tracking. This whole point, by the way, is to not have to necessarily track my food. I'm tracking protein, but very stringently track everything I eat. And I've been tracking, though, for the last few days. And I always wind up with 400 calories less than what my metabolic or estimated metabolic rate is. So by doing this, I'm always in a deficit without really having to meticulously track everything. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Preserving muscle, building muscle, losing fat, eating a good amount of protein. So in my case, I was 260 last time I got on the scale. I bet I'm like 250 now because it was a bad weekend for me. I was consuming some stuff. So water weight aside, I'm probably about 250. So I'm trying to get 230 to 250 grams of protein a day. Okay. Next, this is where most people are going to run into trouble. Every protein source that I eat has to be whole food. So no supplements. Now, I'm not, again, anti-supplement. I bet I've easily spent $10,000 on whey isolate supplements. You're welcome, Onnit Nutrition, or Onnit. I bought some Onnit stuff too, but Optimum Nutrition. I've been buying those 10-pound, I call them dog food bags. These big dog food bags full of whey isolate, double chocolate. $111 on Amazon. I'll put a link to that. Which is ironic because I'm saying I'm not eating or consuming it. But for this diet, this way of eating, I don't know, 2 months. Can I stop calling it a diet? It's just my lifestyle choice, my eating pattern. The reason I'm not taking supplements is for, well, I guess really two reasons. One is that it's for the satiating effect, essentially a filling full. When you're driven, like that's the main macro I'm chasing. The rest is just will be kind of the fat and the carbs will be kind of taken care of through those simple rules that I applied. If that makes any sense. I'll get to that more in a sec. But the protein is the one I'm making sure I hit. Okay? And when I am making sure that I'm hitting that with whole foods only, so what I mean by that is, I'm getting that through chicken breasts or chicken whatever, lean ground beef, steak, eggs, obviously a lot of like brown rice and sweet potatoes, and those all have a little bit of protein in them. I'm getting a little bit through vegetables and things too, some beans, whatever. But those main sources, I'm kind of living by sardines and chicken, and I'm staying full. Basically, I'm staying full. It takes a lot to get me full. I'm a big boy, but when I'm eating those whole foods, it has more of a filling effect. So that's one thing. So that's, again, it's caloric control. I don't feel like eating much else after I eat 6 chicken breasts and half a dozen eggs a day. It's not. Another thing is that there's this thermic effect of food. Now, you don't want to. I'm sure you've heard of like negative calories and things like that. I don't know about all that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's nonsense to an extent. But there is some truth behind it, and that is basically the thermic effect of food is your body has to consume calories in order to process your food. So I think the average is among all the macronutrients, about 10% of your body's daily expenditure, caloric expenditure, goes into digesting what you eat. When you eat protein, I think it's like 15 to 20%. I want to say I've heard like up to 30% caloric expenditure just digesting protein. So while I'm not like using that as a crux for my for this plan, it's kind of a bonus. So over the course of these 2 months while I plan to be on this thing, I'll probably burn some extra calories. I mean, I definitely will. Absolutely will. There's no probably about it. I will burn extra calories, still getting the benefits of protein that we talked about, but burning extra calories digesting it. Now, what will that do to my body? I don't know. I don't think much. I haven't really seen much in the way of negative side effects of consuming that much whole food protein. But anyways, whatever, that's what I'm doing. Like I said, it's worked for me before. And then the last rule, so again, let's just go over real quick. We got no processed carbohydrates. We have no more than one serving of a primary fat source at a time. And like when you sit down to eat, your 19th chicken breast for the day, you know, just make sure you don't put too much olive oil on it. That's basically what I'm saying. Eat 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Whole food protein only. And lastly, don't eat an entire bag of anything. Okay? So unless it's frozen chicken breast. So what I mean by that is that's just kind of like a blanket catch-all caloric control, just for the last one, just to make sure. That's like, okay, brown rice, for instance, I'm allowing that. I'm allowing myself to eat that. Quinoa. But if I eat, you know, 4 servings, 8 servings, I think in a box of rice or a bag of rice, you get like 8 to 16 servings. If I sit there and just crush that, that's not going to help me out. So don't eat a whole bag of anything. If I, what's another example? If I eat 20 sweet potatoes, you know, that's not good. There was this, I saw this documentary one time. It was on like, it was one of those 600-pound man or 800,000-pound man, whatever, A&E or whoever does those freaking things. I was watching one a few years ago, and the guy was this dude who was trying to lose a bunch of weight. Was talking to his nutrition coach or the dietitian, and he's like, "I don't understand. I just eat fruits and vegetables and all day." And the guy's like, "How many oranges do you eat at a sitting?" He's like, "I usually eat about 40." He's like, "Dude, 40 of anything is going to make you fat." Okay, so just don't eat a whole bag of anything. That's the gist. Don't sit there and just because it's healthy feel like you can eat as much of it as you want. I mean, fine, celery, whatever. Just don't do it. No celery. Okay, that's it. So those are the 5 rules, and I'll keep you guys posted. Wow, this is a long video. Oh, that's weird. I never do long videos. Those are my 5 rules. That's what I'm sticking to. I'll keep you posted on. Maybe not, I don't know. I just kind of come up with videos in the morning. So I'll either on YouTube or Instagram or maybe on Facebook. And stay tuned for a review of that naked.fit mirror that I got. Thing's super cool so far. A little buggy, but I'm glad I got it. Okay, if you guys have any questions, if you want to hate on my nutrition plan, go for it. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to chat with you. Thumbs up this video if you like it. Subscribe to this channel if you like me. And have a good day, guys. Thank you very much.